start by Toby Cannon as he whizzes past my commentary box and into the first corner. The Crystal Maiden bouncing of the Bambinos to try and get their carts off the line. Give themselves a little bit of extra momentum and a little extra oomph. As I said before, they have 10 laps, I believe, in their heats. They have 2 heats and a final, like everybody else. The other sort of categories have been sort of lumped together to sort of form slightly bigger grids and to maybe cut down on the timings of the day as well. Try and make it a little bit more slipstream as possible. As you can see on the bottom right hand side of your screen there, my name is Jack Oliphant, and it's a pleasure to be your host for the second time this year. It is brilliant to be back with the IndyCart Plus. Remember, we have 6 rounds of the championship are broadcasted. There are 10 in total, but only 6 are broadcast live. I believe all of the rounds are going to be on Sporting Stuff TV. We've already had a number of the highlight shows being shown on repeat on Sporting Stuff TV, and you can find them on Facebook. If you go to the TDI Media Facebook page, you'll be able to see all the timings for when you can catch the round 1 highlight with coverage from Alan himself and Jake Sanson voicing over. If you're curious on what actually is the IndyCart Plus Championship, well, it is IndyCart, but with a little bit extra, as you can probably imagine, with the Plus being added to the end of it. IndyCart sort of customised towards drivers who don't actually necessarily have a Motorsport UK race licence, and people can just turn up and try and get out there, and we'll provide some racing for you. But the IndyCart Plus, you can have a race licence or you cannot have a race licence. It's up to you, basically, and if you do not have one, you can still get out there and race with drivers who have gone and competed and got their actual race licence. You just have to do a small test for Bob here at Hooton Park to prove that you're up to the capabilities of getting around this rather short circuit in an efficient manner and in a safe manner, of course. That's the most important thing. And you can get out there and race and get some experience as well. It's fairly cheap for motorsport, £99 per entry. It's all happens on the one day. You can come and practice on the Saturday, but really you only need to turn up for the Sunday. They did have a number of practice sessions and a number of qualifying sessions, which is why we are live so late in the day. Normally we, for karting, if you're on any other championship, you'd probably be live racing at about 10 in the morning, but it's 12 already here. The other classes that we've got involved here today are the Bambinos, obviously, that we're watching out there on the circuit. The number 44 rotating well as Hugo Williams, trying to get a little bit more pace about him. His lap time in qualifying was a 55.976. Well, he's already beaten that in this race, and he's clearly learning a thing or two out there with a 54.965. He's gone about a second quicker as young Hugo. And it's not a trick of the cameras, ladies and gentlemen. I know we said we had something slightly wrong with them earlier on, but these drivers are this small in the karts. They are very, very young indeed. They're between the ages of 5 and 8 years old. And that's not even a strict ruling. They could be as young as 4 if they are given the green light by Bob, if they sort of prove that they can drive and they're safe. They can be as young as 4 years old, only just going into primary school, and they're out there in a go-kart. It's quite amazing. They've only got about 3 horsepower, these things, but when you weigh as little as they do, it's very, very impressive indeed. So even though there isn't much of a race going on, let's face it, Toby Cannon doing a 48 dead. That is about a second and a half quicker than he did in his... Yeah, second and a half quicker than he did in his qualifying time. Sorry, I was just curious as to why Theo Jepson was up on the screen, but it's because Theo Jepson is the championship leader in this category. Last time out, we did have 4 drivers. Only one of them here today, actually, Toby Cannon. We had Theo Jepson, we had Elsie Gannon, Calman Simon, and Toby Cannon himself. Theo Jepson currently the leading driver in the championship. He's got 29 points to his name, with Elsie Gannon having 26. Calvin Simon with 23 and Toby Cannon with 10. It looks like Toby's well on his way to picking up a lot more points this afternoon. So even though I did actually raise this question earlier on, why don't we put the Bambinos with some other categories to try and make a bit more of a race of it? But the Bambinos, they're just so young that and the chassis are sort of apparently slightly differently, they're a bit smaller and everything. It's just not the safest thing to do to put them with another category, something like the Hondas. So the Hondas are with the Micromaxes. That is straight after this heat. Then we got the juniors, the junior maxes and the mini maxes. That's at 10 to, well, that's about 2 races time. It's supposed to be 10 to 12, but we're running a bit behind. Then we've got the senior road taxis. They've got a lot bigger grid, so they're running on their own. And so the senior road taxis 177s also running on their own. Then we're going to have a lunch break, and I can't confirm how long the lunch break is going to be, because obviously we started a little bit late, so they might try and claw back some time there. But yeah, we have got plenty of action up for you in a couple of minutes' time as well. But please do comment on the stream. We can see them. We'd like to say hello to you guys, and if you want to give a big support and a shout out to your favourite drivers that are out there, maybe you want to say hello to Toby Cannon, tell them well done for driving so quickly, or Hugo Williams for improving so well as well, and by all means give them a shout out on the YouTube comments, and we'll try and figure out how we can get them transmitted over to the drivers. They will be watching this back, I can pretty much guarantee it, and they'll be watching this back and hoping to hear from you guys, and they'll probably be reading the comments as well. So it'll mean a lot to the drivers if you do want to type your message down in the chat. Toby Cannon with another fastest lap of 47.681. Really quick times by him. That's nearly 2 seconds quicker than his pole time. So clearly there's a lap time out there for him to find. He's actually coming up close to lap his competitor Hugo Williams, who's about to cross the line to finish his 7th lap. I'm not 100% sure how old these two are, but just from looking at the car, I think Toby Cannon's probably got a lot more experience to this, so I'm going to suggest that he's slightly older. Hugo Williams looks a little bit like he's being swamped by that tillet seat, to be honest. Maybe he's on the younger side. Maybe this is a lot of experience for him. He's just being overtaken here. How's he going to respond? Toby Cannon trying to go around the outside, and he's managed to get that one done nice and easy. Just carries a lot of speed through there. Missed the apex slightly on the second left-hander on the infield. But that's important for Hugo now that he tries to look forward and maybe learn a thing or two from Toby Cannon before he disappears into the distance. Last lap board is out. So if he's going to learn anything, it's going to be now. But of course, there is another heat later on, just after lunch, and then there will be a final, of course, somewhat after lunch break. It's the first final that we have. We'll be able to get home and have the rest of their Sunday. Toby Cannon has driven excellently here. He's on 9 laps. As I said, this is a 10-lap race for the Bambinos. In their finals, they will have 12. Every other category has 12 laps in their heats, 14 in their finals. So a little bit longer, just because it basically takes them a lot. They get around the track a lot quicker. As Toby Cannon, little flash up on the screen there. He's going to be rounding out the final corner, and he's going to be a very happy young man, I'm sure, as well, with the checkered flag flying in his direction. Little celebration there, a bit of a fist bump. Well done to Toby Cannon. He's still taking the racing line as well. Still things out there to learn and try and push the limit as the checkered flag drops. Hugo Williams comes second. Not as much of a celebration, but I'm sure he'll be pleased with the lap times that he put in. Got quicker than he was previously. And in fact, yeah, his best lap time, 52.21. Full 3 seconds quicker. Oh, nearly 4 seconds quicker than his qualifying time. So really well done for Hugo Williams. But we are about to get racing for the Micromax of the Honda 200s, and it's going to be the Micromaxes that take us over the line. I seem to remember Red Lynn, was actually just as quick as the other drivers when they were on a split grid last time. By the looks of it, already a good start by him as we trying to figure out who's where. I think it was a good start by Bray Williamson, who taps the helmet and wants to go forward. I'm not entirely sure what for, to be honest, because she's only racing one other driver, and that is Austin Gresty. So there's no point working together with Austin Gresty, because you're not racing against anybody else. So Red Lind is potentially the driver they're slightly worried about, and you can tell the difference between the drivers. You can tell the difference between the drivers based on their numbers. They got a yellow. Both classes have got a yellow background, and but the Hondas have got the red numbering, and the Micromaxes have got the black numbering. So once Red Lind gets involved with the two ahead of them, there is Red Lind and the Honda 200 Championship leader. 30 points to his name. Tom Nichols is in second with 27, and Riley Blakemore is in third. And as I said, James Vought here today in 6th place overall, 4th in category. There is picture of Bray Williamson. Oh, we've had a spin and a crash, and that's Austin Gresty, I think, with Red Lind. That's massive news for the championship leader into the Honda category. Red Lind going round. An opportunity for everybody else, say Tom Nichols, Riley Blakemore and James Vout, to really put a bit of a stamp on this one as Bray Williamson goes through and in the lead by quite some distance now, setting the fastest lap of the race. And whilst they're doing it, 42.103, Tom Nichols now running in second place, of course, leading the Honda category. So big drama there as the 21 Austin Gresty trying to get past 49 of James Vout, the newcomer into the IndyCar Plus Championship. But looks like trying to take a tighter line as Austin Gresty lining up an outside move or going for a cutback on the double left-hander on the infield. James Vout looking over the shoulder, doesn't quite match the apex, but it's all right. Carries enough speed to hold off the Micromax driver for the time being. You see flashing through your screen there was Bray Williamson, as you can see in the background, Austin Gresty. There is a picture of James Vout at the bottom right. Tom Nichols going through in the 74 car, currently, well, 74 kart I should say actually, currently second place overall. Wouldn't they like to be on the overall podium here? There is a picture of Tom Nichols himself, from Leyland of course, Lancashire. Going through the middle of the complex. Driving very, very well, it has to be said. 44.091, that's faster than Riley Blakemore on the last lap. Faster than Austin Gresty. Oh no, not faster than Austin Gresty, sorry. Austin was about 0.3 of a second quicker. And then we got James Vout, 44.801. So James was overtaken on that one by Austin Gresty, who's about to overtake another one. I think Riley Blakemore's about to become the next one on his list. No, not quite actually. Really late on the brakes there, and good speed by Riley Blakemore. Going through the second corner now, skidding a lot, but managing to keep the momentum up for the time being. Austin Gresty trying to use that slightly quicker kart. Get up the inside, doesn't need to panic just yet. Got the opportunity to get back into third place overall, and he's taken it. So into third place goes Austin Gresty. There could be an opportunity for a second place still. There is, I believe that was Bray Williamson who's leading this race by a substantial margin now. About 2 seconds a lap, 2.5 seconds a lap quicker than everybody else it seems. Where's Red Lind? Has Red Lind dropped out? Say no, he's just overtaken James Vout, so Red Lind's still rotating on the circuit. Just haven't managed to keep an eye on him too much over the course of this race. And it looks like Austin Gresty's lining up one more. Tom Nichols, who I'm sure was hoping and praying that this moment wouldn't come in the first heat here. Maybe just starting to, maybe just overdriving slightly. Still doing about the same lap times as Riley Blakemore though is Tom Nichols, so maybe just the overall pace of Austin Gresty is just too great for the rest of the Hondas. It is always nice when you're the slightly lower class to be able to try and throw your name, throw your weight around in amongst the higher drivers. Especially it's extra satisfying if you beat one of them, considering you've got slightly less power. Bray Williamson just driven away by the looks, but the gap is now 14 seconds to this battle, which is roughly about a third of the lap. In fact, Bray is going around the final corner as Austin Gresty is going round the outside of Tom Nichols and into second place. So the two Micromax drivers are back first and second overall. Austin Gresty still leading the Hondas, so it's not all doom and gloom for them. Coming across the line, first position just going through the third corner, the hairpin, going through the middle of the infield. And there is the battle that's at the rear end now. So that's Red Lind hunting down the 68 of Riley Blakemore. Riley currently on the podium for the Hondas, and that won't change if overtaken by Red Lind, but it will demote them by one position, obviously into third place instead of second. We must be getting near the end of the races. About 4 laps left actually, with Bray Williamson just about to complete the 8th lap. That's a long time for Riley to hold off the charging Red Lind, who normally is in amongst the drivers in the higher category actually, in the Micromaxes. So even for Riley to be holding off Red for this long has been rather impressive, but Red guts up the inside, doesn't lunge for it. That's a good overtaking opportunity is in the first corner. Slightly surprised that we haven't seen more of a dive bomb up there from a few of these drivers, but there is a long way to go in this weekend. Another good overtaking opportunity is into that hairpin, but actually we've seen more overtakes coming out of it and around the outside into the infield so far in our first 2 races in the Bambinos and here the Micromax and Hondas. As Bray Williamson still not within sight. Actually, it's about to overtake James Vout, the newcomer. Obviously, the IndyCar Plus Series is here for all newcomers. They want them to be able to gain some experience here in a friendly and cheap atmosphere. Well, it's not a cheap atmosphere by all means, but it's a cheap entry for the most of motorsport world, put it that way, and a really friendly and good atmosphere. It's sort of a place where you can go, and if you have a problem, there'll be someone in the awning next to you who will give you a little bit of advice, maybe who's a little bit more experienced. There is James Vout on your screen. So the 68 of Riley Blakemore has actually done a really good job, really good racecraft here, fending off Red Lind for as long as they have. This is Austin Gresti about to come across the line and through your screen. Second place driver, that's how far ahead Bray Williamson is. And look at that, Riley Blakemore positioning their kart right in the middle of the circuit as they were going down the main straight, making sure Red Lind wasn't interested in going up the inside. Here comes Red Lind, lunging into the inside, maybe, no, not quite. There is Bray Williamson. That is how far ahead they are. 40.916, just about to set the fastest lap of the race, and as they go on to the final lap of the race as well. 18.5 seconds is the gap between Bray and Austin. Number 21, Austin Gresti, secure in second place now in this race, 5 seconds ahead of Tom Nichols, and that was actually about a lap ago. That might even have grown. Yeah, it's grown again, 6.8 seconds now, so Austin Gresti deserving that second place. But there is Bray Williamson from Lower Heswall, about to come around the final corner to see the checkered flag. Bray Williamson wins the Micro Max class here at Hooton Park, an IndyCar Plus Championship Heat 1 at round 2. There is the car that was lapped. James Vout, as I said, a lot of learning had taken place here today by him. And it looks like Red Lind has managed to get past Riley Blakemore. So Tom Nichols has been overtaken as well by Red Lind. So 2 on the final lap for Red Lind. A really good finish to this race, even if it didn't quite go their way. And I think about to come round and take first place here in the Hondas. Yes, they are. Red Lind overtaking Tom Nichols, Riley Blakemore, who round out the podium right on the final lap. And that's all they wrote for that particular category. Honda and Micro Max is done and dusted for heat number 1. We'll see them back after the short lunch break, obviously in a couple of, about an hour's time. So the juniors and the mini maxes giving a good drift on out of the lap. To be fair, we haven't seen anybody spin yet, and everybody who's watching the last live stream, you all know that that is my pet peeve, is people spinning their tyres up and going the old proper weave. End up just spinning around in circles. And you can see them there actually really trying to warm the tyres up, and I truly don't believe it does warm the tyres up, but enough of me complaining like an old. So on pole position, Tom Holden and the number 87, number 54, James Ollier is in second place. Dan Whitfield, number 41, is in third with Zane Stout in the number 7. They will be going round again because it's the Rotax Max classes, they're slightly quicker. Fifth place, number 4, Adam Catling. 6th place, 25, Morgan Hudson. 7th, 59, Charlie Gillum. 8th, number 22, Benjamin Gordon. 9th, 51, Archie Doherty. 10th, 52, James Kell. 11th, 21, Molly Pugh. With 12th, number 13, Benjamin Brock. 13th, number 26, Oliver Lomax. 14th, number 77, Alfie Barron Oxbury. 15th, 38, Lewis Summer. And 16th, 78, George Daniels, and that is the junior category. In the mini maxes, we have just got one driver, and that is Wojciech, who is on pole position in the number 33 kart. So as I said, a much bigger category here for the junior maxes. Plenty of drivers ready to do battle over the course of the next 12 laps here at heat number 1. Times are nice and close as well, but Tom Holden, number 87, who qualified on pole position by nearly 0.3 of a second. So if anybody can get gone, it's probably going to be him. They try and slow them down before we get racing here, but it looks like we are about to go racing. Yep, no false start flag this time round. And it's a good start by the looks of it from Tom Holden, as there's a spin and a melee in the middle of the pack, and I think a few drivers falling ill of that. Number 52 was on there, James Kell, falling all the way back to the back end of the order as the drivers try and skid their way back onto circuit. I think Tom Holden may have lost his lead as well. Number 87 is currently in second place. And I'll try and figure out who is going to, well, as they cross the line, we'll see the official order is the Lando Norris kart pushing Holden there through the final corner and forcing his way past as well. As across the line, James Ollier is the leader of this race. The Lando Norris kart of, I think it's Adam Catling, is into second, forcing their way through, but I would say not illegally, so fair play. It does get a little bit, you really do have to get your elbows out in this sort of category when there's this big a grid. So I think Tom Holden there, he's actually dropped down into fourth position. That's a qualifying on pole. And I said if he can get gone, he can certainly pull a little bit of a gap, but unfortunately for him, he just never got going. He's was sort of muscled out of it somewhat, and he's fallen a little bit further behind. So Adam Catling, Daniel Whitfield is the driver in the number 41 kart in third place at the moment. Tom Holding in fourth, Morgan Hudson in fifth, Charlie Gilliam in sixth, seventh, Benjamin Brock, eighth, George Daniels, ninth, Lewis Sumner, and 10, Zane Stout. Really impressive by Lewis Sumner, I would say. Started all the way down in 15th position, all the way up to 10th already. Remember Adam Catling as a driver from last time, or as a name anyway. He was very sort of impressive and entertaining, shall we say. In the junior category, it's always great racing, but James Ollier is looking to potentially make it a little bit more boring here. Not having to defend just yet is Catling, looking over his shoulder, looking for the attack. As it goes into the third corner, it looks like Whitfield just sent one for miles out up the inside, and I think Tom Holden wants to follow through to take advantage of Catling's lack of momentum. But it's not quite happened this time round. Catling holds on to third place, but that was an almighty move there by Daniel Whitfield to take second place away from him. So we're going to try and keep an eye on this little battle here. That's heating up nicely. James Ollier, yeah, he's gone. The race is done and dusted from his perspective. He probably feels a 36.502. He's just set the fastest lap of the race on that previous lap. And it's only going to extend the more that these guys start fighting and falling over each other. Through the chicane then, the second and third drivers go. James Ollier crosses the line. It is another fastest lap of 36.2. He's dropping them like flies, ladies and gentlemen. He's 0.2 of a second quicker, and Daniel Whitfield didn't even have to do anything on that lap, like defend or attack. He was just trying to go as fast as humanly possible, and James Ollier is still pulling out that nice margin. You can see the number 78, I want to say, George Daniels, is the fight for around the 9th place margin, isn't it? Yeah, there he is. The number 7 as well, Zane Stout. So the fight for 7th and 8th. 38, Lewis Sumner. Again, really impressive. Started in 15th place, up into 7th. And to be fair, actually, they didn't even set a time in qualifying. So maybe that suggests they weren't here, or they couldn't get the kart out there in time. Whatever they did to that car, it certainly has worked, because he's carved his way through. In the junior category, James Ollier, who's leading this race, is leading the championship as well. Morgan Hudson is in second place. Zane Stout is in third in the championship as well. So where is Zane Stout? He's currently in 8th place. Not really the race that he was probably hoping for. Daniel Whitfield, who's second in this race, 4th in the championship. A lot of points to be gained here against some other rivals who haven't necessarily had the best of luck so far. That's the number 33 of Wojciech in the mini-max category. Just jumping out the way slightly, making sure he doesn't want to get in the way of any podium races. Big skid in the slide there by James Ollier, locking the rear wheels up as they go into the first corner. Then the fight for second place is somewhat dissipated. Here is Morgan Hudson and Tom Holden. Tom Holden, I mean, to pull out that kind of lap time in qualifying, but to be fair, qualifying a lot slower than the race here by the looks of it. 36.8 was enough for pole position. There is James Ollier, the championship leader, on your screen on the right. As it looks like they make contact at 27 and 87 as they go towards the S's. As Morgan Hudson and Tom Holden, we were talking about before, and one forces the other out, and I think Morgan Hudson is lost out there through the final corner after a little bit of contact, a little bit of bump in the margin. Some would say it's rubbing his racing, but I'm sure if you lose out on that one, you're probably feeling a little bit rough. So Morgan Hudson drops down into 5th position then. We're now fighting Charlie Gillam and Lewis Sumner. Remember, I've mentioned Lewis quite a few times, starting all the way from the back of the grid with no time set in qualifying. In fact, no, apologies, that's Zane Stout, isn't it, in 8th place, and that'll be George Daniels then. This has been a really massive shake-up. We have got a kart that is rejoining. Not 100% sure where they had disappeared to, or who that is actually, as they went through the screen. Zane Stout into 7th place, Lewis Sumner into 8th. Benjamin Brock down 1 position, he's in 11th now as James Kell gets through into 10th. He was one of the drivers that fell ill after the turn 1 incident on that one. Last lap board has been pulled out for James Ollier. Daniel Whitfield across the line. Adam Catling is not really anywhere close to try and challenge him. Morgan Hudson and Charlie Gillam are nice and close to each other though. There is the 54 on your screen of James Ollier, our race leader. Last lap board has come out, so he will complete this race and he will win it as well in the Haas kart. Backmark hopefully won't cause any kind of major issues. James Ollier, who's 3 seconds in the lead, doesn't really need to overtake him if it'll force the issue. But the checkered flag does wave for the championship leader, James Ollier, who wins this particular race as well. And that'll put him in good stead for the final a little later on. Because remember, the heats, all well and good, but ultimately it's just to try and put yourself in the best position possible for that final in the afternoon. So on pole position for the senior road taxes is number 88, Jack Hayes-Roberts. Second place, number 8, Robbie Rathbone. Number 53, Callum Kinder is in 3rd. With 4th, Callum Kinder, sorry. 4th place, 63, Leo Jackson. 5th place, 19, Mackenzie Stevens. 6th place, Louis Merica in 72 kart. 7th is the 91 of Alexander Mizoiran. 8th is the 21, Troy Spencer. 9th is 54, Luke Davis. 10th is 32, Curtis Harding. 11th, 34, Christos Likens. 12th, 31, Tommy Lee. 13th, 81, Lewis Smith. 14th, 103, Adam Cerner. 15th, 41, Zach Bowker. 16th, number 27, Carl Baldwin. And 17th place, and at the back of the grid, number 26, James Barrett, who didn't set a lap time. So as I said, Robbie Rathbone will be starting 2nd place on the grid, but is our championship leader, Jack Hayes-Roberts, starting on pole position, 2nd place in the championship. Very interesting between those two. And if you're having a look at the lap times between the two of them as well, it's a blink of an eye, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. It's 36.01 for pole and 36.05 for Robbie Rathbone in 2nd position. So 0.04 of a second between the two of them. And then equally close, really, between 3rd and 4th, actually. Callum Kinder, 36.2. Leo Jackson, 36.26. So, yeah, only 0.04 of a second between those two as well. It's all lining up. It's all pointing towards a great race. Let's see if we get going this time round. We do indeed, and it's a good start, I think, by Jack Hayes-Roberts, who gets into the lead and forced out wide, and a little bit of, well, there's a lot of contact. I thought there was going to be some spins, though. Robbie Rathbone was right in the middle of all that, to be honest, and I think has dropped down all the way to 4th place, just like we saw in the juniors, just gone as well. So Robbie Rathbone being beaten up somewhat in turn number 1. Number 72 gets hung out to dry there. That's Louis Mareka. really getting sort of forced out of it, and that's always difficult to try and get back into the mix of it. As they're coming across the line, it will be Jack Hayes-Roberts who breaks the timing being first. Callum Kinder has got into second place, Leo Jackson in third. Robbie Rathbone has to settle for fourth at the moment. Mackenzie Stevens is in fifth, sixth Tommy Lee, Troy Spencer in seventh, eighth Louis Mareka, ninth is Alexander Mazoyan, with 10th Christa's Lakens. I do apologise. There is Leo Jackson from Wrexham, not far away from Hooton Park, of course, very local to here. Wrexham, a familiar name to most football fans these days, of course, but yeah, exactly. I just had a poke over from my producer saying Ryan Reynolds as Robbie Rathbone directs up the inside of Leo Jackson, takes third place. And who's that off the circuit? Is it Callum Kinder? I can't believe it is. No, 53. He's in second place still. I can see him up the road, so I'm not 100% sure who it is, but we'll find out in a couple of minutes' time for you, ladies and gentlemen. But Jack Hayes-Roberts still leads the way. Callum Kinder in second place as it stands, with Leo Jackson being overtaken by Robbie Rathbone, our championship leader. Apparently there's another driver off on the start line as well. Can't see them on that camera shot though, so we'll try and give you that information when it comes round to it. Oh, it was Jack Hayes-Roberts. So it wasn't Callum Kinder, but it was Jack Hayes-Roberts who was off on the side of the road. Callum Kinder takes on the race lead. Robbie Rathbone was not a move into third, it was a move into second place. And that is a big shot. There's the yellow flags being waved. There's a driver off on the infield. Is that Jack Hayes-Roberts? That is, wow, I mean, big turn up there. It's massive for the championship, massive for this race as well. Callum Kinder and Robbie Rathbone, well, Robbie Rathbone probably did, but Callum Kinder probably didn't think he'd find himself in the lead of this race. Robbie Rathbone smells blood in the water. He can see a race victory here. He qualified on second place, remember. He wants to extend his championship lead. Senior Maxes always do provide great action here, and it's no different from Heat 1 here at Hooton Park. Very glad to be around for this one. Almost feels like the races that came before were just a bit of a warm-up for the main event, some might say. Robbie Rathbone just biding his time. There's only 5 laps in. Remember, it's a 12-lap race here for the seniors. No need to worry. He can look over his shoulder once or twice, check that Leo Jackson isn't close enough to try and make any kind of moves, and then he can just bide his time, line it up as soon as he likes. And to be fair, really quick there, Callum Kinder through the hairpin. That gives him potentially a lap of breathing space. Oh, can you imagine what Jack Hayes-Roberts is feeling right now? I can actually see him watching on in the infield from outside of my commentary box. He looks a disappointed figure, put it that way, as you would. Big gap between third and fourth place. Troy Spencer, though, is just overtaken Mackenzie Stevens, the 21, getting past the number 19. And the gap between those two is about half a second, but the gap between Leo Jackson and Troy Spencer is 2.5 seconds. So really the top 3 have pulled away. So the 81 here is we're currently watching. That was Lewis Smith in a fight for the top 10. Robbie Rathbone has got past their race leader, has been changed. Robbie Rathbone ahead of Callum Kinder now, and I think that was through the final corner. Leaning forward is Robbie Rathbone, trying to get the momentum, trying to get that slipstream, or I'm not entirely sure what leading forward does, apart from give you a little bit of a G up in the go-kart. Callum Kinder almost looking like he wants to line up a move to get back at him straight away, but we do know that Robbie, on the ultimate qualifying pace, is slightly quicker. Best lap of the race has gone to Callum Kinder for the time being. There is a picture of Robbie Rathbone, the senior Rotax championship leader. And Callum Kinder still holds on to that actual purple lap time, but only by 1/100th of a second. That is how close it is in this championship, ladies and gentlemen. It's 35.936 against a 35.942, so not even 100th of a second, more like 5 thousandths. Robbie Rathbone leading the way. Oh, he goes wide there though. Is that a big mistake, or is he just trying to V off the corner and straighten up the exit? I think It's the latter. Risky though. I actually said, I think before this one, or the juniors potentially, that through that final corner there is a variety of lines you can take, one of which is ultimately quicker. That's the line that Robbie Rathbone is taking, but it does leave you open. If you go wide into the corner, you can straighten up earlier, get your foot on the power with less steering angle. That means you're basically going quicker down the straight into turn 1. Very important. But it leaves a dive bomb open. Maybe Callum Kinder's seen that. Maybe he just thinks, if I can get close enough through the S's, can I lunge it up the inside? Give him something to think about. 9 laps gone. We're only a couple of rotations off of the last lap board now. Fastest lap of the race just gone to Troy Spencer in the 21 kart in 4th place. 35.815. That is quicker by about 1/10 of a second than Robbie Rathbone, our race leader. So the 32 on your screen right now, leading a little bit of a quartet. That's Curtis Harding against Alexander Mozoyan, Louis Merica, and Zach Bowker, as the last lap board gets held up. And look at the speed that Leo Jackson all of a sudden caught up to the back of these guys. Maybe he was just biding his time. Maybe Robbie Rathbone made a mistake, or Callum Kinder went for a move. Not 100% sure, but Leo Jackson goes for the move on Callum Kinder up to the inside of the hairpin. Gets 2nd place for the time being, but there's still half a lap to go. Can Callum Kinder reply? Can he get that 2nd place back off him? Robbie Rathbone looking over his shoulder, thanking the Lord, I imagine, for the aggression of Leo Jackson to take that one away from Callum, because it looked like that Albie might have a bit of a headache, but he's not going to have a headache. He's going to have a race victory instead, and it's going to go the way of Robbie Rathbone. Leo Jackson in 2nd with the number 63 in the end, getting ahead of Callum Kinder, the number 53. Troy Spencer with 4th place and fastest lap of the race. Mackenzie Stevens in 5th. Lewis Smith, I think, jumped up about 4 or 5 positions according to my timing screen. That could have been a slight glitch. Well, it might be the fact that I think Louis Merica and a few others actually went by the wayside. We were just having a quick glance at that battle. No, I think they finished okay. I'll round up the top 10 for you anyway, ladies and gentlemen. It's Robbie Rathbone. In fact, I'll do that in a second. There's Jack Hayes-Roberts putting his suit back on, looking slightly dejected, unfortunately, after coming off seemingly maybe a mechanical error, I can only assume, because it's a bit of a strange place to go off on the circuit there on the infield. Number 72 was also a retirement. That is Louis Merica. So that did happen on the final lap of the race. That might be why Lewis Smith ended up jumping up a few places. And I believe Carl Baldwin also. Not entirely sure where Carl ended up. Maybe on the outside of turn 1, but he was also a retirement. So I'll run down the top 10. Robbie Rathbone took the victory with Leo Jackson and Callum Kinder rounding out the podium. Troy Spencer, Mackenzie Stevens 4th and 5th. With Tommy Lee, Christers Lakens, Luke Davis in 8th. 9th was Lewis Smith. And top 10, Curtis Harding. Pole position gone the way of number 52, James Dunn. 2nd place, 83, Martin Ingham. 3rd, 58, Ian Prestwich. 4th, 23, Sam Booth. 5th, 66, Peter Abbott. And 6th place, the man we won't be making any reference to, the famous alter ego, is 45, Roger Moore. We've taken the mickey out of the name far too often now. It's just classless, so we won't be doing that again. Well, he is a fantastic kitchen fitter, even if he is not an international spy. So 52, James Dunn, who is on pole position, is also our championship leader, and he's in the leader. He qualified on pole position by 0.3 of a second ahead of Martin Ingham, who wasn't here last time out. So it's going to be interesting to see what Martin Ingham brings to the party. Ian Prestwich, who's on 3rd on the grid, is 4th in the championship. Sam Booth, 2nd in the championship, 4th in the race. They are a bit jumbled up. It's really really only James Dunn who's where he should be in theory, as we are deciding to rotate again. I'm guessing that is to allow one of our drivers to catch up, and I believe it was Roger Moore. Oh, apparently his kart is a bit knackered, so we aren't racing. He has pulled off the side of the circuit. So if we ever do hear what happened to Roger Moore, we will let you know, ladies and gentlemen. But unfortunately, he didn't make the start line, so always a bit of a shame. Remember, this was a 12-lap race, and there will be lunch straight after this one. But we'll be back as quick as we can for heat number 2 and, of course, the finals. James Dunn pinching that fuel pipe then. Getting told to be nice and slow, be patient with the throttle and stay over to that side of the road if you're on the outside. But we are racing, and it looks like a good start by second place driver Martin Ingram, who goes a little bit too wide through the first corner. And they're all in cosmic cars, aren't they? I was going to say the cosmic, but a bit difficult to tell them apart if you just say it like that. 83 Martin Ingram was almost into the race there, and he's still there as it looks like our pole sitter gets muddled up in a bit of contact. 52 there, James Dunn. Oh, and I think we've got another potential mechanical issue in the rear end. Peter Abbott gives a smack of his steering wheel there. Not very happy. In fact, no, it wasn't Peter Abbott. My apologies, was it? That's the number 66 who we can actually see in the middle of this little battle here. We'll try and find that out in a second. But leading this race, Martin Ingham wasn't afraid to get his elbows out. And Ian Prestwich, Peter Abbott, James Dunn. James Dunn was really the driver that felt the issue there. Sam Booth, I think, was the driver who ended up. Had they pulled off the road, or are they still going? I don't think they're still going. Oh yeah, no, just came across the line, but has dropped a long way off the back of the grid. Yeah, no, you can see him going around second corner, so I haven't pulled in just yet. The 66 then of Peter Abbott holding on to that position ahead of James Dunn, who, remember, did qualify in pole position. There is Peter Abbott. Growing up at Ellesmere, well, living in Ellesmere Port, don't know if he grew up there or not. That is, of course, just up the road from Hooton Park, quite literally just up the road. Up the inside there, big lunge, a little later than I thought actually, as the 52 of James Dunn actually loses out. Really good driving by Peter Abbott, getting that lovely cut back. James Dunn just overshooting the corner and goes up the inside into the double apex. That's a bit of a dangerous one. There's always going to close up on you. There's always going to be a crash. It's so tight on the exit there. It's very ill-advised, shall we say. It's possible. It's ambitious, though, is what I would say. That's the main battle that we've got out there on the circuit right now for you, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Booth is still rotating, but very far off the pace. Which is unusual because the qualifying time, well, he qualified in 4th place, so very close. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying this stream, then please do like and subscribe to TDI Media. We'd love to have you along. Got plenty of action from various different championships coming up for you, and of course post-production on a lot of what we do here at TDI, including Hooton Park.
Yeah, and just on that score, guys, obviously the issues we're having with the lagging, we will be re-editing this. I will be re-editing all of these heats, and the finals obviously for TV, but we'll also make sure that the live stream is tidied up for you, so after the event you get a chance to watch it back without all the lagging. Basically, we are recording this from each camera. We've got a camera in the final turn, for example, that just the aerial is just not working for some reason. It says it's sending the signal, but we're not getting it this end. It keeps coming on and cutting off, so we'll have that in post-production. We'll be able to tidy this live stream up for you, and obviously for the TV coverage, but unfortunately I'm sure it's a bit frustrating and annoying for those of you watching, but not a lot we can do about it at the moment. We're going to make a few technical changes in the lunch break coming up right after this race, but at the moment we're stuck with what we've got, I'm afraid. I do apologise, but this is why we prefer TV production and post-production to live streaming. But anyway, there's certain things that are outside our control. We'll see if we can put them into our control after this race is over. My apologies for the time being.
But we are enjoying this race. If you are managing to watch it without the lag, then it's a very good race indeed. And James Dunn did manage to get past Peter Abbott. It's about 3 or 4 laps in the making. Peter didn't exactly roll over and die, put it that way. He was very much right in the thick of it there, with James Dunn ultimately the pace won out. And in fact, James has put in the fastest lap of the race last time round. That's just been broken again by himself. It was originally Martin Ingham, but into the 36s goes James Dunn, 36.721, the only driver to do such a thing so far in this particular race, and do it by 0.3 of a second as well. Martin Ingham's best time is a 37.091, so but he did just go 37.092, so very consistent is Martin Ingham, but not ultimately as fast. I wonder if that's going to be a bit of a worry for Martin Ingham. You, of course, won't know the pace of James Dunn, who's just gone and put another 36.7 second time in. He is in third place, though, and look, he's catching up nicely to Ian Prestwich. If they start looking over their shoulder, they will start seeing a very aggressive-looking kart in James Dunn. Look at their way through the kart, through the third corner there. There's you can tell the driver who just doesn't care right now, and he's the body language of a go-kart or body language of a car, whatever, is very evident. He's really on the ragged edge of those tyres, pushing their limits as much as his own, really. Chucking it through the first corner. He almost gets too much speed. It looked like he had to slow up slightly, otherwise he might go into the back of Ian Prestwich. Now this is where we've seen overtakes happen in the past, into the third corner, but no, he's going to just hold off from it for the time being. Again, a lot of speed being taken through there. Always interesting, but you don't see the clear visors very much anymore unless it's raining. It's nice to see the concentration in the driver's eyes. So we've got another couple of laps to go, so plenty of time for Ian Prestwich to hold on, but going through the first corner, it looked like James Dunn was potentially going to run through at the inside. Here he comes, though, as not a particularly long way back, and in fact, he actually just decides out of it, doesn't he? And I think Ian Prestwich, though, he's starting to overdrive the car, starting to get a little bit worried. James Dunn all over the back of him, but I'd say he needs to get this done a little bit quicker. If he'd done this a lap ago, if he managed to get through, then there would have been an opportunity for a race victory here, but he hasn't been able to, as the last lap board gets held out for Martin Ingham. James will now see this and think, okay, enough's enough, and that's exactly what he does. Up the inside into turn one, and all of a sudden he's in second place. And as I said, if he did that a lap or two ago, a little bit more ambitious potentially, but he might have had a chance at catching up to Martin Ingham, who did just set his fastest lap of the race. He is the other driver now in the 36s, 36.881, so only a 1/10 of a second off James Dunn. But James has got the fastest lap by 0.2 of a second. My apologies to Ian Prestwich, to be fair, actually. He's delved into the 36s as well, 36.892. But the checkered flag is about to be waved for Martin Ingham, who takes this race victory. James Dunn is in second place. Ian Prestwich takes third. Peter Abbott will be in fourth position. There is Martin Ingham from Wigan. Sam Booth is still out there. I was about to say he's retired, but he's about to come across the line, I believe. Bit of a shame for him, as I said. Maybe something wrong with the go-kart. I've been saying go-karts. I'm just trying. Who said go-kart there? I've been trying to get people to bite on that for a little time. As you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, I'm normally a car commentator. So karting, every so often, do get them mixed up, and do apologise about that. But that is the final of the heats for Heat 1. We do have Heat 2, of course, coming up a little bit later, and we, of course, the finals as well. But for the time being, we're going to go try and do some technical updates as well to hopefully bring you a smoother stream and a smoother experience. But we'll be back in a couple of minutes' time.